So the first question is for the mean, right? And the mean, add and divide by how many? So in this case, you add all those numbers up and I get 261, and divide by how many, and hopefully you get that there are 10, which will give me 26.1. Okay, welcome to some basic statistics. We've been given a data set, but I can see it's not in order, so the first thing to do would be to put these numbers in order to help me with my calculations. So I've got 22, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, I like hearing the sound of my own voice, 28, 28, we've got 29, and lastly 30. Alright, for the median I'm looking for the middle value, and this gets a little bit tricky because there are 10. If there's an odd number, it's the one right in the middle, but because there's an even number, the median is the average of those two, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. I have a shared middle, so that's going to muck me up a bit, but that means that for the second one I'm going to do 26 plus 27 divided by 2, which gives me 26.5, and that will be my median. But the good news is, when it comes to my quartiles, because my median was a little harder to work out, my quartiles will be easier. For my quartiles, I split my data in two, and I'm looking for the middle of the bottom half, which is this one, and the middle of the top half, which is that one. Okay, so if you have an odd number, you might have to find the average to work out the quartiles. But either way, you're going to be on a winner. The upper quartile here is 28, and the lower quartile is 24. So you just need to know that. Okay, we find the middle is the median, and then to work out the quartiles, we do the middle of the lower half or the middle of the upper half. And from here, my life is very easy because they ask me the minimum and the maximum, and I can look at my list and I can see a minimum and a maximum. The minimum is the smallest and the maximum is the biggest. So do yourself a favor, as Molly Meldrum once said, write them in order, and then straight away you've got those. Even if you have trouble working out the quartiles, you can still get half marks on this question without too much effort. And that's my box plot done. Now I did notice that in the question they said sketch the box plot and use it to calculate the range in IQR. So what that would mean is you could draw this diagram first and then count the number of places if you wanted. And so if I was to get fancy, I would tell you that you would count all this area here for your IQR, and that would mean that for my minimum to my maximum I would go all the way. Okay, and that would be my range. But I'm happy with that one. Okay, for this question here, I'm going to finish my table first, and I'm going to tell you that the range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum. So we've got a maximum of 30.5 and a minimum of 12, so we'll take that away, and that will mean my range. Now we just go through a process of placing things, and I'm going to start with the minimum, which is 12. So the minimum is going to be here, and the maximum is going to be 30.5, so the maximum is going to be there. So now I can look at my box plot. And the first thing I notice is that my minimum is 12, and my maximum is 30.5, so I want to do 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and yours will be better than mine. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and you've got the rest there. I've got a little arrow on that end. It should be there. And then I will consider the median, which is 21. So I've now got all the information on my box plot, but what I need to do is make it a little more presentable. Okay, and what I'm going to do is draw my box, which is always the middle quartile, and then a line for the outer parts. This is 18.5, and my IQR, it's my interquartile range. That is the difference between the quartiles. So that is the difference between the lower quartile and the upper quartile, which will be 26 take 16, which is 10. Then because I've already done my quartiles, I might mark them in at 16 and 26. They're already marked in purple for you. Okay, here I am again looking at some box plots, comparing some chickens or some turkeys or something. Doesn't really matter. Box plots are a pretty good way of comparing distributions, and it looks pretty simple. A few questions for Farmer A first. So what is his upper quartile for Farmer A? Well, our upper quartile is going to be this point here, and so that will be 10. So his upper quartile is 10 birds. And then I need to determine the range. Now let me think. The range, isn't that the distance the whole way? So I need to do this one, take this one. So 10.5 take 8.5, hopefully. Oh gee, that's not much difference, is it? This range is only 2. That's 2 kilos, I'm guessing. And then what is the interquartile range? Oh, wow. Lucky we did that earlier question, because I can use this number and take it away from this number, and that will give me 10 take 9, so the interquartile range will be 1. I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. So, which farm has the higher median? Well, let me see if I can find where the median is. The median. There's a median and there's a median, and hopefully you agree that Farmer B has the greatest median. Now we can have a look at these sentences. A little bit of data analysis. The chickens grown by Farmer are often heavier. Looking at these box plots, I would think that this part of the box plot tells me that his chickens are a bit heavier. At this end, they're about the same. So I'm going to go for Farmer B. Now, that kind of threw me a bit, that did. So 9 and 10 kilos. Oh, what am I going to do? Let's look at the charts. We've got 9 kilos and 10 kilos, which means from here to here. Oh, I'm so lucky. That's my interquartile range. So I know that my range is 2, but what you probably didn't remember, maybe you did, is that 50%, right, is in that interquartile range. Now I know from the question that Farm A had 42, so it's 50% of 42, so 50 over 100 times by 42. I did this one before, it's not the most difficult, and that should be 21 chickens in between 9 and 10 kilos. I'm feeling pretty good about that. What one had more varied range of weight? Well, again, I reckon Farmer B goes from down here all the way out there. So I reckon that that's a much bigger range. So I'm going to go for Farmer B. Now, the heaviest was the largest chicken grown for either farmer was what? Oh, and you know what? I was just out there. I'm not even going to change my pen color. 11 kilos was the fattest, tastiest chicken. And then let's see. Oh man, Farmer A had a chicken, or how many chickens weighed between 9 and 10 kilos?